All right, so let's pick up where we stopped off last time. So I was going out, I was reading the Bible about 8 hours every day, only the New Testament, and then going out following the directions that I had been given in the Bible. I was going out on the streets of 16th Street Mall and meeting with the homeless, giving them food, and sitting with them, not preaching at them, not trying to act like I was there to save them or that I had special prayers I could say which would change their life. I was literally just living life on the streets with them and observing what was around me and taking notes and trying to get to understand what I was supposed to do with myself in order to help, in order to help people, in order to help them, in order to follow the learnings that I was given, the directives of the Bible. Now, I did this for a few months and it started getting cold. And, I had met one friend, Independence, who had cancer and who had a heroin addiction and who had written scripts, like a playwright, or I can't remember. She was published, I know that much, who actually had written paperwork for homeless shelters to receive grants. This was a very special lady, a lady who was dying, and who told me the number one rule of homelessness was to take care of your feet. It was getting cold, and there was ice and puddles around that if you stepped in and didn't have a way to dry off your feet, that you would lose them through them freezing. And so I took this teaching very seriously, and I'm passing it on to you all in case you all ever experience homelessness or experience being stuck out in the cold where nobody believes that you're a decent person enough to let inside, where no 24-hour hotel lobby will allow you to sit to dry off your feet, where instead you might have to get them cut off, like a lot of our friends on the streets have. Anyways, thank you, Independence, for that. And also thank you for alerting me to the fact that I had not hit reality yet, and I didn't understand actual homelessness yet. I still had keys to a church that I was allowed in, and I wasn't, I was still being allowed in the establishments to go to the bathroom whenever I wanted. I had nice clothes still, you know? The priest had told me to continue to do my work with selling and estate sale cleanouts. And so I had very quickly gathered a huge collection of clothes once again after giving all of my stuff away: jewelry, clothes, 1800s furniture, um, artwork, Native American artwork, really, really cool stuff. I had a whole church annex full of stuff. More than that. We won't even get into that. Anyways, at least not now, maybe later. Anyways, it was getting cold and my heart was breaking. I didn't want to go home. I didn't want to go to the church. I didn't want to have keys to a building where I couldn't take people, where I couldn't take the people who I was coming to love. I cried every single night for about 3 months, maybe more, when it was time to leave the mall. I stayed as long as I could. I'd hit the last bus home, and then I'd cry because so many of those people outside seemed so much more caring and giving than I was in certain ways. Yet I was unable to take them with me. And so one night I decided, enough. I've had enough. I'm not going to feel guilty anymore. I'm not going to have this weigh on my conscience where I'm this blessed individual doing so much for the world and I'm allowed to have keys to a church because of it. No. And I had never really thought that exactly. I'd never really had that pride, but I understood that that's what it could look like. And I understood that that's what I could think. And so I started taking people back with me. I found the nicest people, the people who I believed that I could trust to not screw up what I had been given, to not disrespect the church. And I took them there every night. um, very early on, I think a week on early on, I would hustle up money um, to pay the fare on the bus for the people. And within a week, the bus driver said, "Jesse, you know that the rules of the bus," and they changed this because of us, but you know that the rules of the bus are if you have one disabled person, you're able to take as many helpers of that disabled person on the bus for one fare. And I go, "Really? So I can take as many people on the bus as I want to by paying one fare if we have one disabled person with us?" Awesome. And I'll tell you, we had a disabled person naturally with us every single night. There's a lot of disabled people on the streets. And so we were bringing 13 to 15 people on the bus every single night. And it was awesome. And every single morning. Some of the bus drivers didn't understand this and would stop the bus and call the police and then get talked to by their own agency as to the fact that we weren't breaking the rules. And that's actually why the rules got changed. Sorry, everybody. But, I was just trying to do God's work the best I could. Anyways, after about 3 months of this, it started to warm up again in Colorado. And the priest had found out what was going on. And he was actually supportive, and he was allowing it to continue to occur. Bless his heart, I mean, there's so much. He could have immediately said no. He could have kicked me out. He could have taken away my key. He could have stripped me of my ability to go there, but he didn't. He was trusting in God to work through me and to work through what I was learning and to work through his church. And honestly, he liked it and he wanted to see the best happening. I believed that we could have built a huge congregation with these people and that we could have been a center for the homeless to receive Christ at. And he allowed it to continue until the neighbor started to complain and started to place doubt and fear in his mind, saying, somebody's going to sue you. Even if they don't get hurt, they're going to act like they're hurt so that they can sue you. You need to not allow them here any longer. And eventually, that man's words got into him and his mind. The fear and the doubt took over. And he explained these things to me. And he said, Jesse, I need you to stop. As good as this has been, as much as I want it to continue, we're just not set up for this. And at that point, it was immediate. And I'll tell you why it was immediate in the next video. I'll backtrack a little as to an experience that happened while I was on the streets and something I had been told, which had guided me to this day coming. But right then at that point, I whipped out of my pocket my keys and undid the key from the keychain and handed the key back to him and said, Paul, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. God has commissioned me to build his kingdom with the homeless. And if I can't do that here, then I need to go find a place where I can. I need to go and find a church where I'm allowed to bring in the homeless who are ready to live responsibly and respectfully within the hours allotted for them to be there. I gave him his key back. I had dressed up for whatever reason. I was just about to leave to go out. It was a Friday night. I had like a 3-piece suit on or something. And I went out. I brought one blanket with me. And I went out. I went out on the streets. And I decided that I was going to live with the homeless during that time until I found another place where I could bring them. All right, so that's the end of this one, and on the next one, we'll backtrack a little bit. All right, peace be with you guys. See you later.